week. We are awaiting CPI and PPI data this week. The Consumer Price Index will be out this morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. We'll have those numbers for you and see if it has a market impact. To discuss all of that is Morgan Creek Capital Management CEO right now, Mark Yusko, joining me. Also joining the conversation all morning long this morning is Fox Business's Dagan McDowell and SureVest CEO Rob Luna. Great to see you this morning, Mark. Thanks very much for being here, and thank you, everybody, for joining. Let's talk markets and putting money to work here, Mark. You've got the inflation data coming out this week. Are you expecting any surprises?
No, Maria, I really don't see much in the way of surprises. I think those numbers are going to start to trend down. I think we had a transitory, to borrow the word from our leaders at the Fed, blip up in inflation. Most of that came from actually used car prices and a few other things that were impacted by lockdown measures. I think those are going to fade away, and we're going to get back to really the real problem is deflation. Too much debt, bad demographics leading to lower interest rates and really deflationary pressures going forward.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned debt because I want to get your take on all of this spending. But specifically, I was thinking about you earlier when I was reading through the changes on the federal regulation of crypto. Of course, the changes were blocked by the Senate infrastructure vote this week, Mark. The amendment that was being pushed would have clarified the definition of a broker, who under the current provision text will be required to report crypto gains in a type of 1099 form. So that was blocked, Mark. What do you think this means for crypto investors? What kind of a regulatory framework would you expect?
Yeah, look, I think unfortunately, this is another example of people putting together legislation on something they actually really don't understand technically. Yeah. It's literally impossible for a miner of one of the networks to make this type of reporting. And by requiring technology developers to make this kind of reporting, you're basically going to force that development, those jobs, into foreign countries. They're just going to leave the United States, and that's really sad. We had a chance to pass legislation that would make us one of the leaders in cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is here to stay. Bitcoin's making new highs for the year, best performing asset class, major asset class this year. Ethereum's on a tear. Other cryptocurrencies doing well. I just think it's an unfortunate example of trying to cram something into a bill that really doesn't belong. And they had some really good insight from people trying to help them, and they just rejected it. And I think that's kind of sad.
Yeah, they're looking for revenue anywhere they can get it. You know that, Mark, because they've got to come up with pay-fors for this massive spending plan. You know, you called Bitcoin a long time ago. Obviously, you were right. It's getting another boost this morning, Mark, after the Coinbase profit surge. Coinbase shares up as much as 2% in extended trading yesterday. Tell me what you saw in that quarterly report and what it tells us about Bitcoin overall.
Yeah, Maria, thanks for that. We were early investors in Coinbase and talking about infrastructure. We have a number of venture funds that invest in the infrastructure, in the picks and shovels that are building out this new ecosystem. And Coinbase has been just a massive home run. And yesterday was just a complete blowout. They set new records for revenue, for profits. I mean, they made $1.6 billion of profit. Wow. Not revenue. There are a lot of tech companies out there that have lots of revenue that can't generate profits. They hemorrhage cash. Coinbase is minting money. They're providing essential infrastructure. They are the trusted place for retail investors and now increasingly institutions. 10% of the largest hedge funds now have institutional accounts at Coinbase, and increasingly corporations are reaching to Coinbase to be their trusted advisor. And look, they do act as a broker. They do make compliant reporting. And I think it makes perfect sense for an exchange to manage the reporting. Nobody wants to avoid taxes, right? We want to pay the taxes that we owe. What we don't want to do is require people who are doing the development of the network, securing the network, who are technologists, not financial intermediaries.
Yeah, you know what I'd love to see is the liquidity in Coinbase, and that really gives you a sense of the strength of this company. Stock is up about 3% right now in the pre-market. Let me bring in Rob Luna real quick, Mark. Here, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just can't echo enough exactly what Mark's saying. He hit the nail on the head when he said the people that are trying to create legislation around this don't understand the blockchain. They don't understand what's going on with cryptocurrency. And to your point, Maria, it's all just a money grab. Look, Coinbase is growing twice as fast as ICE. Revenues are higher. Profits are going to be higher, and yet it's trading at about a half of the valuation. This is really where the future is, and I'm glad to hear other professionals like Mark realizing this is an institutional asset class. And look, companies like Gemini, companies like Coinbase, they are, to Mark's point, doing the proper reporting. I just want to echo, cryptocurrency is here to stay. And if you look at some of the protocols like Cardano, the DeFi types of protocols moving away from the traditional financial system, that's what people are worried about, but that's really where this market's going.
Yeah, and users and transactions really jumped there in the quarter for Coinbase. Mark, let's end on stocks. Where do you see the growth here? There's a big debate going on, as you know, growth versus value. Growth seems to have taken the lead once again last couple of sessions. Your take?
Oh, you're absolutely right, Maria. Look, I think we're suffering from bad breadth. I think we've gotten too concentrated again. You know, the Fang Man trade is back. And people are ignoring the things that are cheap. It's really interesting to me to watch stocks that are, or companies that are making money. Their stocks are languishing, and these handful of names that are good companies are just priced for perfection. And I think in an environment where growth is probably going to slow, interest rates are going to trend down towards deflation. And we're starting to talk about more lockdown provisions. I just think there's going to be disappointment. So price to perfection, disappointment means that growth concentration is probably not where you want to be. We still like value. We still like some of the forgotten areas like energy and natural resources, materials. Obviously, the infrastructure bill helps that. So interesting times in the markets.
It's a great point in terms of those companies that are closely tied to the economic recovery, as certainly we are in that right now. Mark, it's great to catch up as always. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me, Maria. It's always great to be on your show. Thanks.
All right. And to you. We'll see you soon. Mark Yusko joining us there.